a servant of the German Evangelical Synod of North America, one of the denominations that are at the root of our denomination, the United Church of Christ. And he has been president of the Evangelical Synod since 1855. Will you now join me in welcoming Herr Pastor Adolph Baltzer?
Guten Tag, meine Damen und Herren. Ich bin Adolph Baltzer. Ich bringe euch viele Grüße von den deutschen evangelischen Synoden von Nordamerika. Ich glaube, I believe I've made a mistake. Your host did tell me that probably not everyone here would understand German. And it might be a little better if I talked in English. And since I can talk and preach in English, why don't I start again? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am very happy to be here. I want to give you greetings from the German Evangelical Synod of North America. I'm pleased to be with you. It was mentioned that I have been with the Synod for 33 years, and that's true. And it just to me feels almost that it was yesterday that I got on the ship to come over to the United States. I was sponsored by the Bremen Missionary Society, which has sent other missionaries to America as well. And there were two new Bremen Missionary Society pastors on that ship together. William Binner and I both were new at that time. But we had the real advantage in that there was an experienced missionary on that ship returning to America, but who had had many years of experience in America missioning to Germans there on the frontier. And that was Joseph Rieger. So you know very well that there, Binner and I sat at the feet of Joseph Rieger, just drinking up everything that he could tell us about what it was like to actually mission to Germans on the frontier. When we got to America, I really want to tell you that we appreciated some other support than just the Bremen Missionary Society, which paid for our passage. The Congregationalists provided funds for us. They had an agreement whereby they would match the dollars that any local congregation provided. And for the small rural congregations that we were working with, that $1-to-$1 matching was just a godsend. It made some things go that would never have gone otherwise. Now, my first pastorate, isn't that always exciting? Your first pastorate. My first pastorate was a charge that included Long Prairie and Horse Prairie, Illinois. Now, you all know where those towns are, don't you? I think perhaps you call that area is the area near Redbud. It's not too far from here, across the river. And several of those churches were log cabin churches. And I still remember the sore rump every Sunday evening because I had to ride 60 miles on horseback to get to all of those churches. Now, I was a bachelor, so that I was staying at the house of Herr and Frau Sauer. And the Sauers war mit Kindern reich gesegnet. They were blessed with many children. 9, in fact. And so the 9 children and Herr and Frau Sauer and myself, all 12 of us, ate and slept in the one room and loft of their log cabin. When I think about that now, But it was not too many years before I went from the frontier there in Illinois to the frontier in St. Louis. And if you thought Illinois was a frontier, just wait till you get to the rough and tumble of St. Louis of that period. Really learning what it is really learning about the challenges. I was in a group of churches together. There was Obere Kirche. You call it St. Peter's. There was Untere Kirche, St. Mark's. And And we alternated in preaching between those two churches. Now, yes, there were some good, solid churchmen and women in those churches. But there were just an awful lot of people in St. Louis who could care less about ever going inside a church again in their lives. Germans who were just absolutely sick and tired of a church supported by the government, of paying taxes in Germany for their church. And they felt that's the last time I'm ever going to pay taxes to a church. So they didn't care about ever going into a church again. Well, that didn't really bother me. That did not bother me nearly so much as the opposition we got from some people that I would have thought would have been some of our best supporters. There were some people in St. Louis who said, now we are of the Reformed faith. Come and be reformed with us. That is really the only way you could go. And there are other, even more people who said, come, we're Lutheran. Come, join us and be Lutheran. My goodness, particularly the old line Lutherans coming from Saxony. They're here in St. Louis. They are very sincere Christians. I don't want you to think otherwise. Very sincere Christians. But just you think one moment of departing one eye speck from Luther and his catechism, and they will let you know about the problems that you are getting into.